What's up, y'all? I'm Will here with Schedulefly, and this is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast, one of the highest rated hospitality podcasts in the world, brought to you by us at Schedulefly. We provide a very simple web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service. If you're on pencil and paper or Excel, or you're on some software with tons of bells and whistles and features you don't need or use, Schedulefly is the perfect place for you. Easy to use, point, click, and go, and we'll take great care of you. Schedulefly.com, free trial, check it out. Also, this podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, Popmenu and The Giving Kitchen and Kickfin, and you're going to hear about them in just a minute. First of all, let's talk about today's guest. What's up, y'all? This episode is with Kevin King. And Kevin is the president of Donato's Pizza. You may have heard of Donato's. They've got almost 500 locations now total between their Red Robin locations and their franchise locations. And Kevin is a phenomenal dude. He has been in this business for a few decades. He's been with multiple different brands, but was at Donato's for a long time and came back. He's the president of this organization, and there's so many things that you have to think about as the president of an organization this big. And we touched on a lot of those things, from technology to people to their mission and their vision to just what happened through COVID and the labor crisis and all kinds of stuff. This was a great conversation. The only reason that we talked for about an hour and maybe 15 minutes, and the only reason we didn't talk longer is I wanted to respect his time. Guy's the president of a big organization. I was sure he probably had other things he had on his calendar for the day, and we have another podcast episode to record. So, but hopefully we'll be able to have him back on, because there's a lot of things I didn't get to ask him that I would like to talk about. Incredible episode. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for listening. More episodes coming too, including 2 more that we're recording today. All right, see ya. Give your team the gift of Popmenu AI Answering, a simple solution for phones ringing off the hook. AI Answering handles calls 24/7, 365 days a year, so your staff can focus on in-person guests. Customize your greetings and responses, answer common questions, promote specials and events, and send follow-up links to ordering and reservations. AI Answering handles it all while escalating more complex conversations back to your team. Never miss another tasty revenue opportunity. Popmenu, the marketing technology platform designed to make growing your restaurant easy. Discover more AI restaurant tools that turn your to-do list into an already done list by requesting a demo today. For a limited time, get $100 off your first month, plus lock in one unchanging monthly rate at popmenu.com. Go now to get $100 off your first month at popmenu.com. Be sure to tell them that Will from Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast and Schedulefly sent you. Y'all, this is a great business. I just told you what they like me to say. I will say that we have a lot of mutual customers at Schedulefly with Popmenu. They all agree. Great product, great customer service, great results. Check them out, popmenu.com. This episode is also brought to you by The Giving Kitchen. Giving Kitchen provides emergency assistance for food service workers through financial support and a network of community resources. Since its inception in 2013, Giving Kitchen has served over 15,000 food service workers and awarded over $10.5 million to food service workers in crisis. If you or someone you know is a food service worker in crisis, please ask for help. thegivingkitchen.org, and again, that's thegivingkitchen.org. Y'all, this is a phenomenal organization. Jen, the founder, has been on this podcast. Jen Heidinger Kendrick, check out that episode to hear their full story. But if you know somebody or you need help, go to thegivingkitchen.org. Incredible organization, and very responsive, and has a wonderful mission. Check them out. Kevin, good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. I appreciate this opportunity very much, man.
I'm excited about it.
All right, so I read up on you, but do me a favor. Do a quick introduction of yourself.
I'm Kevin King. I am the president of Donato's Pizza, based in Columbus, Ohio, with restaurant locations all around the country.
All right, man. We're going to get into a lot of stuff today. I want to ask you, well, first of all, I want to ask you about Miami University, which is where my stepmom went, and I will definitely point her to this episode. Was Brick Street there when you were there?
It was not,
It was. Do you know
but
Brick
I
Street?
have since been,
Okay.
and I know what it is. So it was a movie theater when I first got to Miami, and that closed. And but I've been back as an alumni and been to Brick Street, and know it's kind of the center of everything now.
Oh, those guys! I can't wait to. I'll tell them to listen to this too, man. They are awesome. They're a longtime Schedule Fly customer. They're great, great, great people, and I want to visit there. I feel like it's this place you have to go because I've seen pictures, and you just explained to me what I've always wondered is did what was this? Because it's such a big movie theater would make sense.
It was a movie theater.
Okay, okay, good deal, good deal.
Way back in the dark ages when I went to
You weren't there that long ago, man. I saw. Would you graduate in '86, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And Miami's a great place. Oxford's a great town. And to me, it's the quintessential college town.
Yeah.
The college is a big part of what the town is, and Miami has that picturesque definition view of what college buildings should look like.
Yeah.
And it was just a great place.
Yeah, for sure. And you're in Columbus now.
Yes.
Okay. And I was kind of reading through your LinkedIn page, and I kind of looked, just through your history. So you've been in the hospitality world for quite a long time, other than a couple of years at Chase, which I'd love to ask you about. But I saw in here that I guess your first stint must have been right after graduating at Domino's. Is that about right? Or when you were still a student, or?
I will tell you, my life in the restaurant business started when I was 14 years old.
Okay.
I was a kid, got a job in a neighborhood pizza shop, and I worked there until I graduated from college. And I went away to school, but whenever I would come back, I could work the weekend, I could work any day, and then all summer. And I just never went anywhere else. I had that same job throughout high school, and summers and vacations and stuff like that through college. And so when I was thinking about what job do I want, I had a job offer from Procter and Gamble, and I had this Domino's thing, and I guess I was just drawn to the restaurant industry and have spent almost my whole work career working in it.
Yeah, man, you absolutely have. Well, it's so funny because everybody that comes, we've done over 500 episodes, and I mean, like 99% of the people that come on this podcast, I always ask about, the origin story. Like, how did you get into this, and why and when? I can't tell you how many people started when they were 14 or 15. It's almost everybody. There's something that happens. And I want to ask you more about that, but there's something that happens, and sometimes they leave and come back, but there's some magic that happens for some people when they are in that environment at that age, and it's probably washing dishes or bussing tables or whatever it is that just captures them. Now, I'll say this. I did that. It didn't capture me. I had the part of the reason I like to do this podcast so much is because I have so much admiration for people in the hospitality world. I think it's an incredible business. It's also a really hard business, and it also teaches you tons of skill sets, and you have to master so many different things to really get hospitality right. So I don't feel like I had the wiring to figure that out and to do that, but I have like a lot of admiration and interest in people that did. So what was it? Like, what was it about that space as you look back where you went, there's just something that just gets me excited?
Yeah, so you were right about the first job I had was washing dishes. And if you say, how does washing dishes lead to something that you're going to do for your entire career? That's hard to make that connection.
Yeah.
But what I think about the restaurant industry that I caught and grasped at a young age was the pace of the restaurant business and how it works. And it was just kind of the pace, the energy that is in the restaurant business, how uh, and it's rush oriented, and you prepare for this rush, and you go through it, and then you recover from it, and you move on to the next. And I think that's probably a lot of what really spoke to me and said, "Hey, I think I want to make a career of this." And I think the second thing is you can get an enormous amount of responsibility at a very young age in the restaurant business. When you
Mm.
look at when you're first given that first opportunity to manage people, and it's so direct that you're able to know instantaneously the results of your work, and so you can and do that. And I think the restaurant industry gives people that at a really young age that a lot of under other industries you don't get that. When I think of our general managers in our restaurants today at Donato's, they're managing a 1.7, $1.8 million business.
Yep.
And so many people don't ever understand that their efforts that they do day in and day out impact a business at that scale. Or we have district managers in our company restaurants in Columbus. They run 10 to $15 million businesses.
Yeah.
And that's a big business when
Mhm.
you think of the scale and scope across the United States. And a lot of times people don't even realize that. They're a district manager in the restaurant business, never make the leap to saying, really, I'm running a $15 million business.
Yeah.
And I think
Very few
that's what
people have that opportunity.
that's right. And at a young age, but also even at this age today, what gets people into the restaurant category and restaurant space is the fact that there's energy, there's excitement, and there's direct feedback that you get from the guest. And
Mm.
I think that's what probably grabbed me at a young age.
Yeah, man. Well, that's it. It's that energy can either energize you or it can, I don't know, terrorize you. When I think about like my daughter, literally last night we went to she's home from college, and we were at this restaurant. We live in this little town called Waxhaw, North Carolina, and it was just this like prime rib night, and it was hopping, and there's all this stuff. And she had this job over the summer, not there, but at a different local restaurant, and she was a host. And we were sitting there last night, and I'm like, "Isn't this awesome? Like all the energy. Like doesn't this get you like? Isn't this cool? Like wouldn't this be a cool place to be?" She goes, "Heck no, man! I would be so stressed right now. Do you see the line and all the like? So that's it. Like our DNA, man. Like I mean, I get it now, but I probably would have been the same way when I was her age. I would have been like, this is too much, like stressful. But those of you that really get it, that make a career out of this, it's like you figure out how to embrace that and manage it and deal with it. And I think it's really it's a, I, it's amazing to me how much you can get out of working in a restaurant and being in a place that is full of hustle, bustle, energy, grind, happy customers, frustrated customers, things go wrong, something breaks, there's, somebody called out of shit. Like if you can manage all of that and get through that really fast period and come down on the other side of that and be like, that's a really cool thing that we just accomplished. Let's go do that again and learn from it and get even better. Man, you're learning this skill set that you can like where else? I mean,
You can
there's
apply anywhere.
no other job other than like maybe like an ER nurse where you're just like, you got to do so much to keep your cool. It's an incredibly transferable skill set. It's why I've had all of my kids. I've had two of my three. My youngest is 14 now, but he'll do it too. I've had them work in restaurants at least one summer because I feel like if you can manage that, if you can figure this out, and even though they may not stay in it, you're never going to do anything probably that's that fast paced and that stressful and that rewarding and challenging all at once is like getting through a tough restaurant shift.
Yeah, I think it's a personality type. There's probably, a Myers-Briggs or something we could do, because that energy either gives you energy or it
Yeah,
sucks
that's
energy
right.
out of you,
That's
right?
right.
And so what I heard you say in your daughter is that energy sucked energy from her,
Yeah.
and the people who are drawn to the business, that energy fuels them.
Yeah.
It gives them the motivation to get through that rush and manage it. And we need the people that and I think there's a lot of other things. You talk about the rush of a performer.
Mm,
Some performers, the some people who may be great at singing would never perform because that it sucks energy from them, that stress.
yeah.
But other individuals, that stress fuels them and it gives them energy. And to me, that's what the restaurant business is all about. Is it gives me energy when you're in a busy restaurant. It's like, wow, look at how this is all humming together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There are so many pieces and parts moving here that have to happen right. So that's an awesome thing.
It's funny you said performers because a lot of it is like a performance. I mean, everything's got to be if it's carefully, if it's planned and it's orchestrated well, it just goes off perfect. It's an amazing thing. But then there's always these nights where things don't go perfect or these days or whatever. But then that happens with performances too. And you go, okay, well, we missed there and let's get that better next time. So, okay, well, look, so you get out, you're in Domino's for a while, you're at Donato's for a good 12, 13 years, and then you took a break and you worked at Chase in real estate. So what happened at that time?
Some people look at that and they say, wow, it's such a huge leap. But I was on the restaurant development side
Yeah.
at
Okay.
Donato's, and then I was on the retail bank side. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. I'm going to go do something else and it's going to be great. And, I went there, and first thing, there are a lot of smart people in banking.
Yeah.
And, and I met some great people and I loved working with them. But I remember taking a trip to Detroit. It was part of the territory I had early on in my career. And I'm out with people and we're looking at real estate. We're looking at bank branches, both the existing and where should new go. And, you hit 5 o'clock and everything's closed.
Yeah.
So the bank's closed and everybody's like, well, there's not much more I can do here. Because first of all, we don't care about the traffic around here at 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night. The branch is closed. And then the mentality was closed, right?
Mm,
It's like, well, we're done.
right.
And for a guy who'd spent his whole career in restaurants, you get to 5, 6 o'clock, and that's when things start happening.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing that kind of hit me in the face. It's like, wow, this is different. And I loved the time I spent there because of what I learned.
Right.
And I've been a lifelong person who says, learning is never done. I'm going to learn something every day, all
Yeah.
the time. And but I just it's like, wow, this is just so different. It doesn't have the same energy, it doesn't have the same excitement to me. And I spent 2 years there, and I wouldn't trade it because it taught me a lot about who I am and what I want to be in my life. And it taught me some other great things that I could apply to the restaurant business, but I knew that's not where I wanted to be the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I worked out of a building in Columbus that's over 2 million square feet. And they have 6 or 7 thousand people there at the time. And I walked away thinking, there are 6 and 7 thousand people here to make sure nothing happens fast.
Right. Yeah.
And that's
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 right.
so
That's
different than the restaurant business, because it's all about what can we do today? What can we do today? What can we do to make something happen? So that's the thing that I kind of took away from it, is it's just so different. And it is a great business, and there are some really smart people there, but it wasn't where I wanted to be for the rest of my career.
Hey man, I'm all about the daily learning, and sometimes that learning is is taking away or what I don't like or what I don't want to do, and that kind of narrows down. So, what a great experience, man! Then you've been back at. I mean, you've been with Papa Murphy's and
Great
then
experience.
Smooth.
Awesome time.
What is Project Pie? What was that?
Project Pi was a pizza concept like Blaze or Mod.
Ah, okay.
And it was something that Papa Murphy's had made an investment in. And me and another guy tried to see if we could make it work. And quickly there were some challenges there, and it's just not going to work. So sold that and moved on to Smoothie King. So that's what Project Pi was.
Man, Smoothie King. There used to be one. I used to go to the YMCA in Ballantyne area in Charlotte. They had a Smoothie King, and like
Uh-huh.
5 days a week, drop kids off at school, go work out. Smoothie King, medium chocolate gladiator with peanut butter and banana. I mean, 5 days a week, man. I during those years, six like when you were there, I was drinking a lot of those smoothies. That's a
That's
well-run
a great
organization.
brand.
Yeah, great brand.
Yeah, it's a great brand. I loved every minute I was there. The CEO and owner, Juan Kim, he's just a fantastic guy. And I in my restaurant career, I guess my whole work career, there's certain things that really stick out. And no place that I worked was the mission and vision of the brand so clear
Mm,
to everyone who worked there. And it's such an important thing that you can rally around,
yeah.
because and Juan had a great way of explaining it. Mission is your DNA and it never changes.
Mm,
So the mission of your organization needs to be something that's generational. It's going to be around forever. And vision is something that is out there, but it's achievable
right.
and it's something to rally around. And I think he had just such a great way of encapsulating that and bringing it to life in the organization. And as I moved on from there, came back to Donato's, we had a great mission and a great vision, but we have to bring it to life, and so that everybody um, is working, or in the same direction, is working towards that every day and can articulate it. And at Smoothie King, what Juan said is, whenever you have to make a decision, you go right to the mission and the vision.
Mm,
And if it's part of the mission or works with the mission and the vision, then the answer can and should be yes.
yeah.
But if there's any doubt that it ties to the mission or vision, the answer should be no.
Right.
And you move on. And so that's great. And even at Donatos, Jim Grody created the mission and has evolved that here into something he calls agape capitalism. And it's super cool, because Jim founded Donatos on the golden rule. And who doesn't want to treat others the way you want to be treated? I mean, what
Yeah.
a fantastic idea. And but he evolved that over time because he wanted to lead with love.
Mm-hmm.
And if you leave the love and you follow the golden rule, almost always you'll do the right thing.
Mm,
And that's what we're bringing to life at Donatos. He calls it agape capitalism. Agape is a Greek word that is the highest form of love,
yes.
which is unconditional love.
Yep.
And so that's our daily grind. Is we have a coin that has those three phrases on them, and you start with leading with love. So if you treat people and you're leading with love, or you love the business and you love the product, um, and you treat others the way they want to be treated, which is how we should all live our lives,
Yep.
is treating others the way we want to be treated, then you're going to do the right thing almost every single time. And that's our decision making process here at Donatos, is that three things every day approach leading with love, and how I treat people, how I treat our guests, how I treat our product, and then treat others the way they want to be treated. And we're going to do the right thing for the business. And I love that too. And bringing that to life and is part of what I do every day. Is how can we make sure that that's what we're doing every day? And I know that's certainly something that I get excited about.
I bet you do. It's nice to have that clear mission and the clear vision and being able to articulate that and then being able to get people on board with that. And
Yeah.
you got a lot of people to get on board. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So here's the coin.
Okay.
So we talk about it all the time. We hold it. If you're having a tough day or a tough decision to make, it's something to help really ground you. So it's really cool.
Yes.
So
There's God, it's been years. There's a guy, I don't even know what he does, but there's a guy named Derek Sivers, and I read this blog post of his like 10 or 12 years ago, and I'll never forget it. Was hell yes or no. And his whole mentality was, when I make decisions, if my response isn't hell yes, then it's no. And I think about like that like that's what you talked about there. Whatever the decision is, or if should we do this or that, or if it doesn't align with what's on this coin, and that, then the answer is no. So it becomes really easy to make
Mhm.
decisions, right? Like no, because it like there's no reason to waste time on that or thoughts or energy or whatever. It doesn't allow. So boom, no, and let's move on. And that's a good thing to have. Is that, like you said, that foundation and that grounding to, because it's complicated. I mean, what you are doing is hard. You're growing you've got what, close to 500 locations now. I know you had a lot of growth with Red Robin, so I want to ask you about that. You're doing uh, a vending machine with another company. So I'm curious. Like, you're back now. You learned a lot over your years. You were here, you've gone, and now you're back, the prodigal son, back, and like learned a ton, and now you're president of this organization, leading it forward. So what is on your mind, and what are you focused on going into 2024, and a um, interesting economy, coming out of COVID, we're dealing with tough, you know, for the industry and just in general for hospitality. Like, it's hard to get people to come work now. It's harder than ever
Yeah.
to get people to attract and retain good people. Um, and then people that want to align with the values that y'all have. So that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. But then just big picture, man. Like, what do you come in every day, and like, what's your main focus for 2024, and what do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, 2024, first of all, you talked about such interesting times, right? We come out of 2019, which was really a pretty good time in the restaurant business as a whole. And we really went into three different crises. The first was COVID, and the biggest part of COVID was the unknown. What is this?
Yeah.
What is this work from home, and what is this about? And how do we respond and react? And we went right into a employment crisis,
Yep.
right? We didn't have any people, and a lot of people left the workforce. Some people were afraid. There's reasons why it happened. It really hit the restaurant industry hard.
Mm.
And so that right to that, and then right out of that into some rapid inflation that most of us had never experienced in our work lives.
Yeah.
We're like, what do I do about this? I can't change prices again. I just did it. And but if I don't, so we went through three crises, which really, of course, we learned a lot, and you grew fast. And I think the best thing about 2023 was that rate and pace of change, or that crisis, kind of subsided a little bit. So we all get back to our regular business. And so, what are we focused on in 2024? We're definitely focused on growth as an organization. How do we grow faster than we ever have? And on our core and existing business, what can we do to excite the customer or thrill the customer with our business, and how can we give great service? So we're focused on a couple key pieces in there. Our online business is a huge part of who we are today, and we've been able to grow it, which is great. I mean, the pizza category has a leg up on a lot of businesses because the customer's predisposed, but it has been transformational for our business. We used to have choke points. The first one was always answering the phones, way back when. Well, that's gone completely for us now. So much of our business comes online. What comes on the phones, we have put that all into a call center, and that call center handles the call. So the store's going to get the orders, and you don't have to worry about that at all. The choke point today is the printer. How fast can it print the orders?
Seriously.
And you can't stop it.
Yeah.
So, you don't get energy from the excitement of the phones ringing, which used to be your trigger. But now you get the excitement, like that printer is printing nonstop, and we've got to get those orders. We've got to fulfill them.
Mm.
So, what are the aspects of technology that we can use now to do it. The Donato's, we just have the best operating system because the pizza business is a rush business. It
Hmm.
comes every day at about 5:45, 5:30 till about 7 o'clock. We used to call it the rush hour. It's really the rush minute now today because when the guest wants the pizzas, you got to be ready to give it to them. So we got to be ready for that about 5:45 till 6:15. Somewhere in there is when our peak is all going to come. So we have to be ready for it. We talk about it all the time. We call it ready for revenue, and you got to be ready for the guest. So what technology can we employ? What automation can we employ? And we have some really cool automation to sauce pizzas, to slice and put the pepperoni right on the pizza, which some people say, wow, that's not a big deal. We put 100 pieces of pepperoni on a large pizza, and you cannot do that really, really fast.
Mm.
And you cannot beat the machine to do it, and it does it better. And it's actually slicing the pepperoni from a stick and dropping it right in a perfect place. So we're putting automation in our restaurants that makes sense, and we're allowing our team to focus on serving the guests. So what are those things that we can do to really give the guest a better experience? That's a huge focus for 2024. The staffing crisis has eased a little bit, and now it's putting those pieces in place so that we can thrill and excite the guests. We can exceed their expectations on the experience. So, growth on one side, guest satisfaction on the other, and then leveraging the information and data that we have today. Um, we do over 55% of our transactions inside our loyalty program, which is a great number. Starbucks, the industry leader in loyalty and innovation there, is at about that same number. So that's fantastic. About 80% of our orders come through our digital engine. And that's a huge piece of our business. So just focusing on those key things, innovation, digital, and using that information we have about the customer, and then just those service aspects. And then a final one would be growth. So very focused on those aspects of the business, and really looking forward to 2024 and thinking it's going to be a great year because we've never had some of the things we have in place, and we're super excited about it.
All right, y'all, it is time for a little mid-episode break. We're going to talk about Kickfin. Thousands of restaurants, bars, and breweries use Kickfin to tip out their employees instantly. No cash required. With Kickfin, tips go directly to your employees' bank of choice the second their shift ends. It's a really simple solution to a really big problem because if you're still paying out credit card tips in cash, it's costing you. Time-consuming bank runs and cash counting take managers away from work that matters. Cash is hard to track, which leads to accounting headaches, and it creates the perfect opportunity for theft, human error, and compliance issues. Bottom line, there's never been an instant secure way to pay out tips until Kickfin. It's an easy-to-use software that sends real-time, cashless tip payouts straight to your employees' bank accounts 24/7, 365. Kickfin gives managers hours back in their day, makes reporting a breeze, and protects your business from risk. Most importantly, employees love it. Restaurants can have Kickfin up and running overnight. Employees can enroll in seconds. No hardware, no contracts, no setup fees. Visit kickfin.com for a personalized demo. See how restaurants across the country are digitizing tips with Kickfin. All right, that's what they asked me to say, so I say it, and it tells the story very well, but I like to add this in. We referred a customer that we know and love very well, Sup Dogs, to Kickfin. Sup Dogs has been a customer for a super long time. Trust them very much with their opinion on these types of tools. They started using Kickfin. I asked Brett, the owner, recently how it's going. He said, Kickfin is perfect. It's going great. Exactly what we were hoping for. So there you go. Kickfin.com, y'all. Check them out. Okay, well, first of all, one of the things I'm always curious about with your business, with the world of pizza, is how do you, what are the main ways that you're able to differentiate yourselves? You've got your brand, there's there's Domino's, there's Papa John's, there's one near us now, Marcos. Like what do you do? I know like you have like what you just talked about, 100 pieces of pepperoni on a pizza, and you've got edge to edge pizzas. But for the guest, unless there's people that say I only eat this brand because it's what I like or whatever. But like, there's a convenience piece of this. There's what do my kids like piece of this. I wonder about leveraging technology to get the process down so that you can leverage the people, because the people to me personally, and this is just me, this is a N of one, but that's the piece that makes the difference for me. It's when I go, even if it's just that I did an online order, when I walk in, how am I greeted? What is the atmosphere like? What does it seem like the team members like? Does it feel like they're angry and stress each other? Or are they dialed in? Are they present with me? I notice these things, but I'm real discerning and I pay attention. But like to me, that makes a big difference. But maybe I'm an anomaly. I don't know. What do y'all do to try to make sure that you create a differentiated experience as much as it's possible outside of the product? I know the product's a key piece of this, but then outside of that, what else do you do?
For sure. Well, the human interaction is exceedingly important in our world today, because you can say, "Oh, what do I do digitally?" But when I encounter a human being, that experience has to be great. So we really look at in our restaurants, what are the things that we can do? What are the things we can automate? What are the things that we could do somewhere else? And what are the things that we want to do in the restaurant really, really well? So what we are trying to focus on is we've got our people in the restaurants, and how can we focus their time on that guest interaction, whatever it is. Those are the things where we can add value beyond anything else. So like I talked about automation, those repetitive skills, those are the things we want to automate and not have people doing. That we took the telephones, which answering the phone in a restaurant is not a great experience.
Yeah.
The pizza oven is loud. There's a loud hood.
Yep.
There's a lot going on in the background. And so that's one of the reasons why we said, let's not answer phones in the restaurant. We can do that better somewhere else. And, that's changed. Change is never easy for people. And so we worked hard on that, because, again, when you interact with us, that's the guest interacting with the restaurant or the person. We've got to make sure that that experience is great, and putting up somebody who that's what they do day in and day out is a much better way to do it. So excited about that piece. And so we're not talking about how do we reduce labor or eliminate people. We're trying to say, let's focus the people we have on that guest experience. So what do we do? Number one, we focus. Number two, let's give them the training and the skills that they need. And let's give them an environment that they're not worried about their environment, so they can be focused on the guest. So I would say that's what it's really all about. Minimum wage is going up, wages in general are going up. The scarcity of people is there. So let's take that scarce resource and let's focus it on doing the things that can add value to the customer and to the guest. So that's how I would say we do that. It's going to be about training and focus.
And you've got, this wonderful mission of agape capitalism and, the golden rule. And I mean, look, if you can get people to buy into that and lead them in that direction, that is a huge differentiator, because most places today, the bar is so freaking low for just looking somebody in the eyes, thanking them for their business, just making them feel welcome. I mean, we had to stop, like, we have Pizza Friday at our house. Okay. So every Friday we get pizza, and I'm cheap guy. So I'm like, I don't want to pay for delivery. I go pick it up. But also, cause I like to get out and I like to see what experiences are like. Man, we had to stop. There's a local Papa John's, and one of my kids, who's like the biggest pizza fan in the family, he likes their pizza, but it got so bad, man. I was like, look, we're not ordering from them anymore. Like, this location has lost their way. The
Yeah.
experience is bad. The manager's angry. It seems like we would come home with this product, and like if I forget to look at it, like I mean, we had a night where there was like cheese on like half the pizza. It's just a disaster. And I wrote them, and I never heard back, and whatever. So we moved on. But here's the thing: the what y'all
And how
do.
many people did you tell that?
Well, I just told a lot of people on this
Yeah,
podcast.
you did. That's what happens on a bad
I just told
experience.
thousands and thousands of people. I mean, that's that one location though. Like that's isolated, I think, but the bigger point being is like that's a big challenge for y'all too, because you've got, what you and your leadership team says, okay, this is our coin and this is what we're gonna do, and this is how we make decisions, and this is our mission, and these are our values and our philosophy and agape capitalism. But then you got to figure out, how do I scale that down to the, like in this case, the 16, 17-year-old kids that are in there that clearly couldn't care less, and how do you get them? And then how do you find and keep people? How do you find people that probably are already wired that way in some way, that have a servant's heart? And then how do you keep them, because turnover's massively expensive. Big, not easy challenges.
No, not easy at all.
Yeah.
I think you sum it up is, as employment gets more scarce, that means the associate or the team member has more choice. And so you've got to create an environment that's good for them. And really, that's what we're trying to think about. What are the tasks that they don't want to do anymore?
Mm.
And so answering the phone. So, I mean, you have kids. Do they ever talk on the phone?
No, never.
No. And so our kids today, even into your 20s, don't have phone skills. And so that was one of the first things I noticed is people just don't want to answer the phone. And when I've got three choices of things that have to get done this second, phone was always last.
Yeah.
And so getting the phones and that was a huge part. And then the rest is, believe it or not, you wouldn't believe that how the getting the phones out of the restaurant changed the environment for associates. It took the stress level down. When I came back to Donato's, I spent a couple days working in stores, and I didn't want to go to just the best, so I went to some different stores and tried to experience it. And one thing I realized right away is we got a ton of things beeping at our team members.
Mm.
The door dings, the phones ring, we had the third party vendors all on tablets, and those are dinging at you, telling you got to do these things. And I'm like, what is all these things dinging at me? And how long does it take where the associates just don't hear it anymore at all?
Yeah.
And so how do we fix that? Because we got to provide a great environment. The other piece is, when I came back to Donato's, and Jane Grody, who's the daughter of the founder, and she's our chairman, she said, we're doing these remodels, and but we're not doing anything for our associates. And that's just wrong. Is we can't just have a great experience for the guests. We've got to have a great experience for our associates. So it's putting that back into how we think is, if I'm going to remodel a restaurant, I got to make sure I do some things for our associates in that remodel. And, dollars are always tough to come by in a remodel or an upgrade, but you can't prioritize only the guest. I've got to do things for the associates, because if the associates aren't happy, they're not going to treat the guests the way we want them to treat the guests. So those are some things that are around, and you got to remember those things. When the associate has choice, then I have to be the employer of choice, or I just won't get them. And that's a function of pay. It's a function of the environment. It's a function of the mission. And it's also one more that associates, especially the younger generations today, is what does the company do to give back? Because giving is an important part of what they want to do. So, we have a Donato's Family Foundation that we use to help associates, but we also have that foundation that has three pillars back to the community: housing, hunger, and health. And so we are raising money, and we give money back in the communities, because those things are important to our associates today. So it's a lot in that equation, and I kind of rambled about some of them, but I've got to have an environment they want to work in. I've got to have a clear mission and vision for them, and then I've got to give back. All those are important, and pay is just a given. You've got to be competitive on the pay side. If you are doing those other things, they're not going to leave you for 5 cents an hour or 10 cents an hour, as long as you're taking care of them on the other things. But pay's got to be there, and pay is an incredibly important part of the equation, but it's not the whole equation, because people want to believe in the organization that they work for day in and day out. Whether you're a 15 or a 16-year-old associate on a summer job, or you're a career person here, you're a general manager in one of our restaurants, it's super important that the company gives back. And so we work on that day in and day out also.
I think it says a lot about Donato's and the enduring, legacy of how it was started and what it's been built upon, and the philosophies that y'all have that you're now back. And yes, look, if somebody's going to leave you for 5 cents an hour or for $1 an hour, they're also going to leave that person for the next. I mean, that's
Sure.
yes, you have to pay a fair amount, enough. But I think, everybody wants validation. We want to feel like we're important. We want to feel like we matter to other people.
For
And
sure.
that is there is no price you can put on that. But when like, again, my daughter last summer, she's a hostess. She's answering the phone. Hated that. I bet she spent more time on the phone last summer than she ever has in her entire life collectively, because she's, as last summer, she was 19. She barely ever talks on the phone. Barely
No,
ever.
but
That
she
was
texts like a madman.
oh gosh. Yeah. They can just, so that was real stressful. Not, and then feeling like there's like this inner circle of people that have been there, and they kind of look at you as like the new person, and you're not in their club. And like, all these things are like, so, like you're trying to strip those away. You're trying to provide an environment where they're not dealing with these kinds of things. I'm very curious about, you've got a call center now for your phones. Are y'all looking at AI answering? I know that's something that's become a big thing as well.
We are.
I just went to a Bojangles the other day, and there was AI on the, like, went to drive through, and I was talking to a AI to make an order, and it actually freaked me out at first, but it did a really good job. And I think people were going to get past the freaked out part, because that's something that can be done well, it seems like, these days.
When we were designing our whole call center system, and as it comes to AI too, the biggest thing is we want to provide an escape valve, right? If the guest wants to talk to the store,
Yes.
it has to be really easy.
Yes.
And then we have to coach and teach and train in the restaurant that the phone does ring, you really have to answer it, right? Because this is a guest who, for whatever reason, wants to talk to the store.
Yep.
And so we created that escape valve right away. And I feel the same way about AI. Is we've all been stuck in the AI that I can't get out, and you get really frustrated. You're calling a customer service line, and they're asking you 56 questions before, and you just want to speak to somebody. Those, to me, are the things that we have to make sure we don't do. Is we've got to create that environment where you can get out of that AI system if it's not working for you for whatever reason. And same with talking to our restaurants. If you want to talk to our restaurants, we made it super easy. That's press 2 on the phone. If you want to place an order, press 1. If you want to speak to the restaurant, press 2, because that guest, as they get into that frustration, has to do it. But AI, in the sense of order taking, can be great, because that person who knows exactly what they want,
Yep.
ordered before, they don't want to take a lot of time. They don't want to read their credit card number again. They don't want to say their address 16 times. And so AI can handle that all for you. I see you've ordered before. Would you like to order? Last time you ordered this, would you like that again? Or they recognize your number. They know you order something different every time, and they're not going to take you down through the same same channels. And that's what we'll be able to get with AI, because we know. And our online ordering has to be easy and intuitive, and there needs to be AI in that too. So if you've never ordered wings, maybe I should suggest that you order wings. But if I've asked you 10 times if you want to try our wings and you've said no every time, you don't want to be asked again.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where AI will help us both on online ordering and in a call environment as well. It's going to know what to suggest, and it's going to know when you get frustrated, and it's going to move on. And that we've got to make sure is there for the guests too, because it can just, AI can be horrible experience, or it can be awesome. And how quickly can we get the AI to be awesome is one of the things that we're working on. So we have AI ordering on the phones in a couple restaurants today. We expect to expand it as long as those tests continue to produce good results, which they have so far. But again, if the customer wants to speak to someone, it's got to be really easy.
Who do you use for your AI answering?
Believe it or not, we're using DoorDash.
Okay.
They have been super innovative with us, and through conversations in the summer of 2022, they said they wanted to help us with a call center. They stood it up really fast. We tested it in a few restaurants, and within several months, we were able to roll it out to 125 of our traditional restaurants, and we'll continue to expand that. They have been a great partner for us in a lot of things. We use them for we have our own driver fleet, so we do first party delivery. But as our volume exceeds the number of drivers we have an integrated way to kick orders to them, and they'll fulfill them on their end. So they've been a great partner for us all the way around.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. Your fleet versus, I've always wondered about the third party delivery, because I feel like, and again, I don't know because I've never been in your shoes. I'd be anxious until I was proven wrong about a third party and the disconnect between my brand and what we do and how we want to interact with guests. And now it's leaving and it's going into somebody else's hands, and they're the ones who now show up. And we've all had DoorDash and we've had a great experience. We've all had, or Uber Eats or whatever all the other ones are. And then you have some where you're like, that person was grumpy or not nice, or the food came and it was like, oh, this is completely wrong. And then you try to call the restaurant and they're like, oh, well, blah, blah, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that comes with that, for sure.
There is. There's a couple things here. I'm still a huge fan of our first party delivery business with our drivers. And we have drivers who have been with us for 25 years, 30 years that are delivering pizzas for us.
Good
And
for
they
y'all.
do a fantastic job. And I love having them. And the and I'm a big fan of our first party business. It does a great job. But there are some challenges with our first party business. The biggest is the people I just talked to you about are aging.
Yeah.
And the younger you are, the more likely you are choosing a career with the third party people instead of us.
Good point.
So
Yeah.
if I look at our business today, we are 64% staff for drivers.
Okay.
And I told you the employment crisis has eased. And averages don't tell you everything. We have stores that are 100% staff for drivers, and we have stores that have zero. And the challenge is I'm getting fewer and fewer younger people coming in and seeing the benefits of being a first party delivery driver for Donatos. So I have to supplement that fleet with what I can get. And we've been working with DoorDash on how that works and how it works seamlessly, and how we can get them to follow our standards, have a hot bag for their food, not leave food on a porch, ring the doorbell, and interact and engage with the guest. But we've had to do that, and they've been a great partner for us, and they've helped us a ton on that and have been very responsive. So the way I look at the first party business is during our peak hours, our delivery drivers cannot make more money anywhere else. And we have to continue to do that. And so when I think of what our employment um, uh, promotion is, what we give to the associate is, you can make more money as a delivery driver during our Donato's peak hours than you can make anywhere else. That's number one. Number two, we can give you teamwork and camaraderie and goal accomplishment and things like that. So if you need to be a part of a team, we can give you that. And we've got to continue to work on that. How do we reinforce that? What we're up against is the other two things is DoorDash has, and the third party providers have tremendous technology, better technology than we have for the driver and for the guest.
Yeah.
That's number one. And number two, that flexibility. I can work when I want.
Yeah.
I can take 2 deliveries. I can take 20. We don't offer that. And that's super appealing to people. So it's really understanding what our associate proposition is for delivery drivers versus what DoorDash's is, and how can I continue to make sure when you are with us, you make great money, and that we give you that teamwork, camaraderie, goal accomplishment that a lot of people want, and that I supplement it with the people who want the ultimate and flexibility and are really dependent upon the technology that DoorDash provides. That driver who's been with me in Powell, Ohio for 25 years, he knows the area. He doesn't need the technology. He knows exactly how to go. When he sees the address, he can probably already envision which the guest is that's going to answer the phone. He doesn't need it.
Right.
But if you're 18 years old and you're starting out, you want a side job to supplement some income, you may be dependent upon that technology, and you love the flexibility that it provides. So it's a combination of understanding what the employment proposition is and doing a great job of making sure we can own the employment proposition that wins for us every day, day in and day out, and that we do everything we can to embrace those supplemental drivers for us and work with DoorDash so that they give our guests a great experience. So those are the challenges. I mean, you nailed it fast. We got customers who want that Donato's driver answering or delivering their pizza and giving the care that we do and making sure everything's right versus the DoorDash driver. But I have to accept the reality that the world has changed. I think third party is the biggest disruption to happen in the restaurant business since delivery was introduced by the national pizza chains years ago. And it is a huge disruption. We have to embrace it. We have to figure out how it works for us. And we have to do everything we can to make that experience as good as it can possibly be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting challenge, man. It's fun to watch how this is all changing. Tell me about your franchisees. How many franchisees do you have?
So we have right now we have 43 franchisees and growing every day. We're signing up new people.
43. Does that mean so they average over 10 locations each?
So we have the partnership with Red Robin. That's 285 restaurants of our 500. So
gotcha.
we have 175 traditional stores.
Okay.
We own 51.
Okay.
And then we franchise about 125 other restaurants. And we have 35. We do have franchisees with 20 restaurants, and we have franchisees with 1. So we run that full gamut. And we have franchisees with 1 today who are getting ready to build their second, and they'll follow by their third and their fourth and their fifth. But we do have some franchise partners who have 1 restaurant, and we have systems and processes to support them. We typically look for people who are doing multiple restaurants, going to do multiple restaurants today. We have still in our system our second, our third, and our fourth franchise partner that we ever signed are still active in our system today. Unfortunately, our first one died. That restaurant's still open, but we've got franchise partners who have been with us since we started franchising in 1991. And it's just awesome to see. And they're their children are involved in many cases in their restaurants, and we love having the franchise partners that we have. They're a great group of people. Plus, we love the new ones. We opened our first restaurant in Oklahoma with a franchise partner group with tremendous amount of experience in the restaurant category. They're working on their second restaurant right now. Thrilled how that's going. So we got a great group of partners. Both our legacy partners have been with us for a long time, and the new ones coming in today.
What is the tell me about your geographic footprint. You just mentioned Oklahoma. Where do you span? How many states are
So
you
we
in?
have traditional restaurants, really if you know Interstate 75, kind of most of our restaurants are within 150 miles east or west of Interstate 75,
Okay.
with the exception of Oklahoma, and we're doing Texas. So we go from Cleveland, Ohio, down to Naples, Florida, and kind of anywhere and in between. We're going to be opening in the Charlotte DMA in Fort Mill, South Carolina,
Yeah,
here first quarter, so not far from where you are.
not far at all.
We're in Charleston, we're in Savannah, so we're in Virginia Beach, we're in Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania. We have 3 great restaurants in Erie, Pennsylvania. So we had a great footprint.
Are you in State College?
We are not.
Okay.
The only stores we have today in Pennsylvania are the 3 in Erie.
Okay.
But State College would be great for us. I think those Big Ten towns are awesome.
My daughter's that's where she's in school, so I was just
Oh,
curious.
she is?
Yeah,
That's
we
great.
got to head up tomorrow instead of Sunday because they're getting all the a bunch of snow up there or something like that. So we're gonna try to beat it. But
That's what they say.
was
We'll see if it comes.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, it changes daily. Okay, do you so there's a guy. I wanted to pull this up because I wanted to bring his name up and
I already know who you're going to ask me
salute him.
about.
His name is Travis Howard.
Travis Howard. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing my live sales pitch. You've got one dude out of all of your franchisees who's been a customer of Schedulefly for 8 years now, so he must be happy. We would love to serve anybody else that wants a simple scheduling software. So that's funny. You already knew that I was going to bring, if I did, that I would bring his name up. You know him, huh?
I know Travis really, really well. His father, Roger Howard, was one of the original crew for Donato's back in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
In the
That's
original
awesome.
store. And Roger had a career here that I think he retired in the mid 2000s, so 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
And he got 2 stores with his 2 sons. And Travis is one of them. And Travis worked at Donato's when I was here the first time, so I knew him then.
Oh, wow.
He's a great guy. He runs one of our highest volume franchise restaurants right here in the Columbus area.
I was going to ask you. It says Lewis Center is one in Sunbury. So that's your general area there.
Yep, that's right around the Columbus area. And Roger lives in the trade area for the Sunbury restaurant, and Travis does as well. They run great restaurants. They're looking to build another store right now, so maybe you get Travis, get Sunbury, his Polaris store or Lewis Center, add a third one real quick, and then that's a third growth in your Donato's restaurant. So, but I'll reach out to Travis and get a testimonial on the software and see if we can't spread it around a little bit.
Spread the word, Travis. If you listen to this, you're the man. We appreciate you. Thank you. Since August and September of 2015. So, we're like, and I don't want this to be a big Schedulefly thing. There's 5 of us. We've been doing this for 17 years this year. We have a great software and we take great care of our guests. And this is why I ask you so much. Like, it's so incredibly important for us, the experience they have. I mean, my cell phone is on our public facing website twice. And this is it. Like, I use this flip phone and it's turned off right now, but people will call, me. I'm one of the owners of the business here because that matters so much to us. So we pride ourselves in this great software and excellent service. Our challenge has always been, like, with over $500 million in private equity and venture capital invested in competitive tools. Like awareness is just like really hard for us. So anyway,
Mhm.
but you don't have to indulge me anymore on that, man.
I love that flip phone. Does your daughter give you grief for having that flip
Dude,
phone?
they make fun of me all the freaking time. I've had it for 3 years. It was the summer of COVID. We moved out to a farm in Waxhaw, which is just south of Charlotte, and I was just in this place where I had an iPhone 11, and I was on it so much. I didn't like myself. I didn't like who I like when I would like
Yeah.
virtually look in the mirror at myself and how much time and how the lack of presence I had around people that mattered to me. I was like, okay, I'm like an addict, and if I can't, I shouldn't keep this drug here if I have a problem with it. So I literally walked into the Verizon store. I was like, I want a flip phone. I don't want this thing anymore. And the guy's like, dude, I'll see you back in a month. And I was like, you might. But I made the adjustment, and now I love it, and it works out well. And I keep my emails, and I still have like the iMessage, but it's all on my laptop. And this thing sits, no, it's on my desk. If I leave the house or I go somewhere, it's all there. It'll get tended to when I get back. But yes, my whole family. I got 3 kids. They're 19, 17, 14. My wife laughs at me. They're all like, "Why do you do this? This is so." But I gotta tell you, man, it's working out pretty well. I like it.
That's good for you. That's awesome. I know I'm on my phone way too much. My wife gives me grief for being on my phone, but it would be hard, really hard for me to go backwards as much for the texting as anything else.
Yep.
Especially with the relationship with my kids. I have 3 kids. We text far more than we ever talk. And
Yeah.
I have 2 kids in the Northwest, one in Portland, one in Seattle, and my youngest is in Nashville. And if I couldn't text them, that would be really hard.
You can text, but it's like the
Yeah, I
old,
know.
like,
But in the
so
old days,
I
two,
don't,
two, two.
uh-huh. I don't have the text like conversations that most people have now, as much,
Uh-huh.
but, here's the thing. Here's the good thing. My kids are having to learn to talk on the phone because they know their dad is going to keep calling until they answer, and we're going to have a conversation. So like, they're going to have this
I
like
like that part. I
weird,
love that
they'll have
part.
this weird skill set where they actually know how to talk on the phone. Like, so maybe they'll be real valuable somewhere one day. It's like, like,
Yeah, maybe they'll be running call centers if they can do
yeah.
it.
Like when you want to talk to a live person, we got somebody that actually knows what they're doing. So,
They're going to be doing the training on call centers because they know how to talk on the phone.
that's right. Okay, so Fort Mill, man, that's awesome. I got a good buddy that lives there in Fort Mill. That's not far from us. So you got a franchise. Like, is this somebody said, I'm in Fort Mill, I want to buy this market? Like, how do you typically get franchisees? Do you have a outsourced firm that works with folks, or do you all do that in
No,
house?
we were using an outsourced firm when I came. I mean, I spent most of my restaurant career on the development side
Uh huh.
and was a part of building about 1,000 stores at Papa Murphy's and 500 at Smoothie King. So, growth has been a big part of everything I've done. And so we insourced the franchise recruitment. We've hired and staffed on our development team. So, most franchise inquiries today come off the web. So we, heavily invest in search and, spend a lot of time with our optimization on our website and so on. But we insourced the franchise sales components and hired and staffed those pieces. So we target markets is how we get partners. These are the markets we want partners in. The beautiful thing about the internet is it can be highly targeted, and so we're not fielding a ton of calls from the state of California because we're not interested today in traditional restaurants in California. We love California for Red Robin today, but we're very active in the Midwest and the Southeast, including Texas. So I would say we're really active in the new Big Ten and the new SEC.
Mm.
And those areas are where we want the bulk of our franchising to come from. So Those are the two areas we spend a good amount of money on search, and social media ways of generating franchise leads. So that's where they come. We have distribution in all those markets. One of the greatest things about the Red Robin partnership is it provided nationwide distribution for Donatos. All our dough is made in two central facilities. One we own and one third party owns. So the dough, getting dough to restaurants was certainly a challenge to do franchising in what I'll call far away markets from where our distribution was. But the Red Robin partnership and relationship has really put distribution across the entire country. So we, if we wanted to do Seattle, we would be able to get them food because of the Red Robin partnership. So that's a fantastic thing about Donatos. But our growth is pretty much focused in what I'll call the Big Ten and the SEC for college football fans.
Yeah, for sure. Well, those markets are continuing to expand, for sure. But I mean, the demographics. Long term, aren't the demographics people who are moving to the Southeast and Southwest just in general? I mean, isn't
For sure.
that's where all the growth is? But how do you decide Fort Mill versus Rock Hill or Huntersville or Greater Charlotte or like what?
Yeah. Why there?
Yeah.
We're fortunate to have great information and great tools with our customer data that we do have. We build profiles on what guests look like, and we look in areas. We prioritize that way, and then sometimes you let real estate help. So we're not so focused that we said, "Oh, Fort Mill has to be store number one." We're focused on, "Hey, here are the trade areas we'd like to put restaurants in," and then we use real estate because real estate locations are still vitally important. A C retail or a C restaurant. I can't talk. A C real estate site is generally going to be a C performing restaurant. So we don't want that. We want higher performing restaurants. So real estate does drive some of it, availability and making sure we get the right sites. But we prioritize trade areas first, then we do the real estate work and we pick the best sites we can. So that's kind of how we get to where we want. We love franchise partners who are from and engaged in their community because that helps. When you build a new Donatos in a trade area that's never had it, Donatos before, being able to generate some buzz and awareness is critical. People like the pizza they're eating today. And so to tell them that ours is better is a message they've heard before. So we've got to break through that. We do that with great real estate and great franchise partners who are hopefully local and engaged in the communities they're in. And that's how we kind of work through it.
Would you be in like a Publix shopping center area or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We would love to be in that 3 or 4 unit strip that sits close to the road in a Publix anchored center that might have a Starbucks on one side and maybe a Sports Clips or Great Clips or one of the hair care and us on the other end cap.
Okay.
That'd be great. There might be a Smoothie King in there. I mean, some of the real estate's really similar, but those are the kind of places. It could be a Jimmy John's or a Jersey Mike's or somebody like that also in there,
right?
Because they're looking for that same convenience, visibility, and close proximity to the guest or the customer.
I got a guy, good buddy, I need to introduce you to. That's why I asked that question. Trey Morgan. He's been doing real estate development in the Southeast and took over his father's business. Trey's been doing it 30 years, but he's doing a lot of Publix centers. I mean, it just seems like and he's sort of
Publix is a great retailer.
He always says he's talked to other customers. He's always like, I'm an SEC footprint guy. Like he may be a good resource for y'all. I'll get y'all connected.
Yeah, it'd be great. I'd love to connect.
Well, hey, listen, I know you're a busy guy. I've probably already taken more time than you had. I've got another podcast here in a little bit, so I'm going to let you go. But This has been really educational, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. I learned a ton, and I have a lot of respect for your brand and what you are doing, and your overarching um, philosophy of agape capitalism, man. I'm bought in. I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Love it.
absolutely.
Well, I had a great time. I love talking about what we talked about, and Donato's is a fantastic brand. I could talk about it all day long, but the restaurant business is great. If somebody is listening to this and wants to join the restaurant business, I can't uh, I can't encourage you enough, especially if being around people excites you.
Yeah,
That you know that you're probably a really good fit for the restaurant category. So thank
absolutely.
you for a great couple minutes. I really thought it was fantastic.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate you. And yeah, tell Travis what's up for me. We appreciate him.
I'll definitely do that.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
See you.
All right. See you.
Bye.